Welcome to the MS&Me Radio Network. The broadcast shows are for informational and entertainment purposes only. They are not designed to provide listeners with specific personal, medical, or counseling advice. Individuals with a medical issue should always consult their healthcare provider. MS&Me is not responsible for content of individual shows. The views expressed by show hosts or their guests are their own. Enjoy the show.
Hi, this is Maureen Herron, your host for Truth Be Told, Living with MS. I want to welcome you all back and thank you again so much for your support and your feedback and some of the comments that we've had. Please keep them coming because it gives me direction on what kind of programs we want to put in place to address all of your questions and all of your inquiries and all of your concerns. A lot of the things that I've been hearing lately is questions about my story, and when I told you that I had started my own business because I was afraid employers were going to fire me, I had a question about how do people find out about how to start their own business. So today in studio we have the fabulous Rene Morrison, who works for Centennial College. And Centennial College has a program for young people between the ages of 19 and 25?
18 and 29.
18 and 29, so even more people are eligible. And the program is called Excel. Now, Centennial College is in Scarborough, in Ontario, in Toronto, and today we're going to talk about the program, we're going to talk about the prerequisites, and we're going to talk to Rene about what if you don't live in Scarborough, what if you don't live in Ontario, because I know that a lot of our audiences are coming from right across the country. So let me welcome Rene Morrison. Hi.
Thank you for having me. You're such an inspiration to many people.
I'm also such an exasperation, but that goes. Okay, so tell me all about the program. It's Accel, ACCEL?
That's correct.
Okay, tell me about Excel.
So it's for youth that might have a business idea and they don't know where to start.
Okay.
They might have an idea and they wanted it to be assessed or improved upon, hence the name Accelerate a Business. But there could be people that come to us that have a business started and they don't know how, they want to scale up. They might have the skills, but they don't have that business knowledge. So that's where we come in. We help them determine if the business is viable, and they need to be viable in order to move forward. So that's what we do.
Okay, so if you're a young person and you think you have it in you to be an entrepreneur, or you even have a small business, but you want to, and I guess that's the name, Excel,
right.
Accelerate it, this would be the program that we would look at. What are some of the prerequisites then, Rene?
So as you mentioned, the youth have to be between the ages of 18 to 29. You can be a student at Centennial, so we get students that, it's great, they're on campus, they come to the student center, they look for Excel, and they ask questions. So you can be a student or alumni, and others in the community, and we found that it does service Scarborough, but Scarborough really lags behind the rest of the city when it comes to jobs. So this gives people the opportunity, another option of let's start a business and take ownership of that. So they can also have a partnership. Some people have formed a partnership, but they need to, one of them should be eligible in that age range.
Right.
So we've had that happen as well. But we incubate good ideas. So,
okay, great. What are some of the more successful outcomes that you can think of? Because how long have you been running the program now?
So we've done it for a couple years now. So it's it's been a couple years and a number of clients coming through.
Okay, tell me some success stories.
Well, one of them has a business where they resurface countertops. And what was amazing about them is they had the skill, but they didn't have the clients. Right. They came to us and they said, what can we do? We actually very scientifically looked at the demographics of who would be the fit that demographic that would look at resurfacing something in their household, how many years they had that house, and we boiled it down. We looked at the city wards and we looked at those demographics. So they actually sent something out to Canada Post touching these demographics and then called us and said, we got 4 jobs from this promotion.
Oh, terrific. Right.
So it does work.
And do they have to have any capital going into this? Do they have to? I know a lot of provincial programming, such as Second Career, you have to have some money to put in. What about this program? Do they have to have matching dollars of any kind?
They don't have to have matching. We do look at, it depends on the nature of the business. If they want to do something huge and they're looking for some funding, that's outside of our scope. So they would need their business plan, and they would need to have some. They want to know. Funders want to know that you put some money into your own business.
Okay, so let me say we have a partnership, and I'm a 24-year-old woman, and I have MS, and my aunt, who's older, wants to go into business with me. I apply as a student, and she can also be my partner.
She can be your partner.
Okay.
But she would come to the training, get the mentorship, and get that business growing or launching. And we would help her do that.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm just trying to open up as many possibilities for young people living with MS to, go through this and find some opportunities to start their own business and solidify some really, really good money for themselves. Now, we've talked about Scarborough. You very politely said Scarborough. From what I understand, people in Scarborough call it Scarborough. Scarborough. So is this a program available anywhere else in Canada or something like this? What do you know?
Well, when you look at Ontario alone, there's 45 universities and colleges, and there's campus-linked accelerators or campus entrepreneurship activities usually at every campus. I did searches for BC and out east, and just make sure it is those campus-based accelerators and it's not someone else doing some other kind of business that the government knows nothing about.
Okay, so we want to make sure that it is a Government of Canada program. We don't even just because, and I'm going to say this, you know this, Rene, just because it has the Canadian flag does not mean that it's supported by the Canadian government. And often programs will do that. They can be very misleading. Definitely, anybody out there listening, and I know we do have listeners from Atlantic Canada, and I know we have listeners from outside the province as well as Atlantic Canada. So please go to the Government of Canada website, and if you find something, go to a Service Canada office or go to whatever provincial affiliation the provincial government has to make sure these programs are legit, because there are what I like to call merchants of misery out there, and they'll take advantage of you. Rene knows this.
Because there's a lot of people out there that say, I'll consult with you, I'll take your money. But that's not what you want to look at. You want to start this business. You want to know if it's viable. You need the assistance to do that. And we have the tools. We give you the tools to do that.
Okay. Rene, in your experience, have you worked with any youth with disabilities?
Yes. Actually, personally, I have. And it's interesting that at first I was handling it with kid gloves, like how do I proceed when I consult someone with disabilities, but I remember one of them telling me, look, I want you to push me. And they were fearless. Like they thought, okay, I want this opportunity for myself. I want to make this happen. But I just remember this one person saying, push me.
Okay.
And I want to be held accountable. So you still proceed, you give them all the tools. But I found that it's good that they know it's available for them, the training. And you can also link them to outside supports as well.
Right. And there are business people who sit on the committees, the advisory committees, the steering committees, and so there's
Right.
always, I find whenever I do projects, I always find that there's many people in the community who will gladly donate their time to assist a young person who's starting their own business. So
Yeah, I had a client once that was making these hats to go on holidays or whatever, and so was in the fashion industry, and they actually went to Harry Rosen. This is
Wow.
years ago. And Harry said, "Well, I don't have a lot of time."
Harry?
Yeah.
It was Harry.
It was Harry. I don't have
Himself.
I don't have a lot of time, but I'll stick with you for a few months until you do the launch.
Wow. Okay.
So got some mentorship there. So don't be afraid to ask people for that assistance.
Have you had any participants with non-visible disabilities express why they have chosen self-employment?
Not everybody does disclose that they have a disability, but ones that come forward, they'll say that they're not judged. And they really want the flexibility so that they can take care of their own personal needs, but also be accountable to the clients,
Right.
and do the business. But they may have periods of the day that they can't work as well as other times. So they have that flexibility that they can take, because an employer might say, this doesn't work within those parameters. But
Right.
with self-employment, you set your pace, you set your hours, you go out and get your clients.
Well, the podcast is called Truth Be Told, Living with MS, and this fits in exactly to the title, because I think a lot of people may or may not know that such wonderful opportunities do exist, and there's no better way to live with MS than to live with MS on your own terms and work
Exactly.
on your own terms. And this sounds like the perfect, program for the people who are listening.
It is.
For anyone in the Toronto area, well, Scarborough, we know how to find you, but for anyone in the Toronto area, how do they find you guys, Rene?
So you can go to our website, accel.centennialcollege.ca. We have a phone number, 416-289-5128, extension 3455. And you can also, we have some other programs that aren't just youth-based, but and anybody can inquire about those other programs like soft landing, boot camps. And so if you go to our website, Centennial College /COE, because it's a Center of Entrepreneurship, you'll see the scope of what we do, and come and visit us.
Great. Okay. And you are totally accessible, because I've been there. Do you have any recommendations for websites and research sites for clients outside of Ontario?
Yeah, this is a good point, Marie, because they should look at the provincially sponsored small business economic centers.
Okay, so let's say you're in Newfoundland.
Yeah.
You would look for Newfoundland plus small business centers, right?
Small business economic center, but there's also the regional innovation centers.
Okay.
So in Toronto, people go, you've heard of Mars and Venture
Yes.
Lab, and they'll go out to these zones, and they do their startup, or they scale up their business.
Okay, so for anybody in Canada, whatever province you're in, definitely go to, in Ontario, it's called Employment Ontario. I think BC, it's called BC Works.
Yeah.
So please look at your individual provincial programming. Should be covered by the province. Do not pay excessive amounts of money for this, please.
Yeah.
Remember what I said about Merchants of Misery. And certainly, please go out, chart your course, live and work with your MS, and be the star that you are. I want to thank Rene Morrison very much for being in studio with us today.
Thank you.
Is there anything
It's
else
a
you'd like
pleasure.
to say, Rene?
Well, I think of Richard Branson's one quote that he said that it kind of resonates with me, that when you find an opportunity, just say yes, and then find a way to make it happen. So we're the way to make it happen, but you got to say yes to it, and then
Great.
do it.
Thank you so much, Rene.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. Cheers.